You know those eerie feelings you get when you're playing a multiplayer game and there's no one on the server apart from you? For instance, boot up Minecraft right now and scope around for some deserted server that's running but no one's on. Feels pretty weird, right? Well, this is what my hobby was. Going around to these barely running games and seeing what people had left behind. Not just Minecraft either. Counter-Strike, Team Fortress 2, World of Warcraft. I used all of these games to explore special servers nearly every day. I logged down what was on them. Buildings, maps, announcements, and then my friend would come along and wipe/build on what I had logged into. I would get paid about $50 for every server I cleared, depending on the size. So, anyway, I'm sitting there sipping on a Coke when my unnamed friend, due to security reasons, rings me up over Steam and he says that there's this really big indie game map that was just abandoned and he wanted me to check it out. He also mentioned that the map was larger than normal, so he would pay me around $100. So I accepted and went to download the client. It was an old website. The design was pretty poor and it didn't look very popular, so I speculated that he just wanted me to see if it was working. So I created an account and booted up the game. It looked normal enough, sort of like Second Life. You know that game where you play as yourself and run around and buy and build stuff? I started at the server maintenance screen and went over some of the hosting stats and found that the server was being run from a single tower that had a proxy. I couldn't list the location to get a proper ping to report to my friend, but since he was probably going to delete it, I guessed I would just make it up. I scanned over the other active servers, and it seemed like the only one active was this one. He was probably going to wipe it and demolish the company project, so I guess that's why I'm getting such a big bonus for it. I logged into the server, and the loading screen came up. Hints, a bar, and some pictures of people playing. The usual. After the screen had completed, my avatar was dropped into a little forest, what I assumed would be the outside of any main city or town. So, I walked forward hoping that some sort of tutorial would guide me around. But, nothing happened. The graphics were quite advanced for a game its age. The forest spanned for ages, and the trees were like that of Elwyn Forest of WoW. I told all this to my friend as we kept the channel open for fast information. After walking around in the forest for about 20 minutes, I came to a bigger than normal tree. It had this big door on the front of it, and it looked as if it had been carved into the wood by hand. Kinda like the ones out of Nightmare Before Christmas. But anyway, the cursor came up with an interaction symbol, and then the screen went black and my voice channel cut out. There was no loading screen, only the sounds of poorly 8-bit looped music that was on the last loading screen. So I waited, and waited, until finally, the game comes back with my voice channel. The only thing in the entire tree is a big mirror, totally separating the middle of the tree from the other half. My character then walks up to the tree without my control, and puts his hand towards the reflection. After this, I was suddenly brought to my desktop. Along with the icon of the game, all the files are missing. The HTTP has also vanished along with it. I asked my friend if he cut the server, and he replies in an innocent no. Anyway, he transfers the money to my PayPal and logs out. So I go to sleep that night thinking about what I'll spend my $100 on as I drift to sleep. I woke up about 6 times that night, always seeing that damn tree. It's not even scary, it's just annoying. It's a vividly recreated mirror, just like the one out of the game, and I keep touching it. I get up around 6 AM after being unable to sleep and decide to hop on the computer for the weekend and rummage about Steam for some good deals. I get about halfway through watching some Saints Row trailer when I get invited to play some CS Source. The name was added to my friends list, but I don't recognise him at all. The name, actually resembling mine, keeps flashing, and after a couple of minutes, I decided to oblige. The server's pretty normal, just us two, with no announcements and him and myself on opposite teams. It must be a peer-to-peer because the server name is exactly the same as mine. I bet it's my friend pulling a prank. After I go through the options and get my game all set, I decided to buy an orb to shoot this guy up with. But whenever I press the key I have assigned to bind, the game freezes and goes back to normal after about 2 seconds. So, I decided it's some buggy server coding and continue with the game with the trusty old Glock. After I run out of spawn, I can hear a faint laugh or giggle from the other side of the map. I brush it off as script or plugin and keep running around. I look for this guy for about 10 minutes. When I'm about to leave, I see him in a corner of my eye running under the walkway. I follow him under, but when I re-emerge on the other side, I see not the other side of the map, but the inside of a big tree and the large mirror stretched across my screen. The reflection is not of the terrorist I'm playing as, but of me, sitting at my keyboard. I throw my headset off and check my webcam. Nothing's turned on. What the hell is this? In the reflection, my hand extends from my mouse and begins cutting into its arm with its nails, smiling the entire time while doing so. The cuts start appearing on my arms as he giggles. I scream and turn off the computer before fading to black. My face is flashed on the screen, all distorted and rotted. I waited about 4 days before turning the computer back on. I need to do this, I tell myself, for work. I turn the computer back on and start Word. The program immediately shuts down and begins booting up Battlefield 3. What? I say out loud. I wasn't even using Battlelog. This is too suspicious. I was about to turn my computer off in fear of seeing the doppelganger starting to go all cutty again, but I was invited by my old friend. The server is pretty normal, just a squad DM on Caspian border. I spawn and select my weapons. After this, I alt-tab and open a chat with my friend. Only static. Hello? I say into the microphone. Only static returned. Come on dude, don't do this now, I say in hopes of getting a response. Whatever. Let's just play, I say. I run around the map, looking for my friend amidst all the bushes and tree lining around the gas station. I see a model running behind a building. It didn't look like the silhouette of a normal model in the game. I then remembered Dust 2 and decide to turn the computer off. I reach up to the power button and press it in once. I look back down on my screen, and all I can see is that all the trees now bear the same door. Oh shit, I say as I struggle to look away. The power wouldn't turn off, as my character walked unattended towards the largest of the trees. The door opens, and guess who's sitting against the mirror? Sitting exactly like me. My doppelganger stares blankly into the screen. He's changed since the last time I saw him. His eyes are sunken, and his bones are now clearly visible over the fleshy creases in his face and skin. He grimaces and starts jabbing himself with a piece of wood. Ugh! I scream, as his actions replicate on my body. I reach for the cord as the pieces of wood and splinters start cutting into my chest. I finally grasp the cord and pull it out. The laughing and screaming died down on both ends of the voice channel. I'm rushed into hospital and receive around 60 stitches for my cuts and gashes. I then sell my computer when I return home. A couple of days pass, and things are looking down for me. I lost my job after having too many days off, still thinking about the tree and my doppelganger. I began walking around the interior of my house, thinking about what I can do. I think about mirrors, me, insanity, and how I can overcome this bastard. Then it clicks. The mirrors and trees. I need to get back to the game. Knowing that the HTTP is downed, I realize that I need to host it. I buy a cheap Dell computer from my local store and set up a peer-to-peer host in the hopes that I can just get me and this bastard in one room again. The server pings online as I enter what I remember to be the host. Hashes and strings of code from any file residue I can find. After working for about 3 days, I finally get the server back online. The web address works, and I brace myself as I click login. The page is different. It had pictures of me losing my job, as well as my loved ones and crying people being killed. Beheadings, torture, cannibalism, and decapitation lined my screen as the game played the same howling noise when I first met this doppelganger. I log in, and the loading pages are going black once more as I'm dropped into the forest again. It's different. Gore and blood splatter the entire landscape, and bodies hang from the branches. They follow me, with their black, cold eyes, as my character progresses through the landscape. In real life, I'm shaking. The barriers of the game and reality slowly drift apart as I advance deeper and deeper into the forest. I'm walking on my own now. No keyboard, no mouse. It's me in real life. I continue, falling over corpses. I keep going. I have to do this, I keep saying to myself. I have to. Until I finally come to the tree. I brace myself and walk towards the main door, screaming still ringing in my ears. It slows down to mere giggles as I walk towards the mirror. I see myself covered in blood, elongated features and black eyes looking at me. It starts rasping and crawling towards me, breaking the mirror. Now was the time. I pull out my pocket mirror with all my strength and show it to the doppelganger. I heard a massive burst of screaming echoes, making my eardrums bleed as I held the mirror with all my willpower. I suddenly awake in my room, on the floor covered in blood, with the mirror laying to my left. I calm down. It's over. I got up and collected myself, and after a quick shower and a glass of water, I got in my car and drove as fast as I could to the nearest bridge over water. I got the mirror and threw it down into the water and began to walk home, safe and a hero after defeating the doppelganger. That's why I'm writing this now, to save you the trouble of all of this. Be cautious whenever you join any type of empty or abandoned server. You might just start to hear laughs and giggles echo towards you. And if you encounter your very own doppelganger, I fear for the worst. A couple of months ago, the police dredged the lakes around the country and found mirrors exactly like the one I used to defeat him my first time. And I have a hunch he won't make the same mistake again. Thank you for sticking around to the end. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to leave a like. And if you want to hear more stories like it, don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon. That way you'll never miss a story. Oh, and if you haven't already, don't forget to follow me on Twitter so you can keep up with the latest goings on the channel.